what's trolling. So guys, we're going to be watching some Taylor. Do you know Taylor Vitelli, guys? So we're going to... Who knows Tyler Vitelli? I've been watching him since for 1 year, guys. So make sure to like and subscribe. Now let's watch some Taylor.
It's currently 8:30 in the morning.
Wow,
Let's
what's
start the
happening?
GTR 90 to school because today's a half day.
So oh, we're going to be watching a new episode. I just saw it yesterday. Taylor Vitelli. Oh, I just opened the blinds. Yeah, this one I watched it the TV. As you can hear the birds. Do not know if you hear it, but
the worst part of school isn't the classes, it isn't homework, it isn't even when you have a new seating arrangement and you get put next to the kid who refuses to shower. Because the worst part of school was the moment you sat down at lunch, looked at your tray of food the lunch lady made, and realized if you eat this, your next meal is going to be with the queen. The school cafeteria is a place where crazy things happen. And I can say that because one time we were served a meal so bad that it started a food fight. But before we can even talk about the food fight, we gotta talk about how every day would go in school when lunch started. Because the second the bell rang signaling that it was lunchtime, you would have thought the Hunger Games just began with how fast students would be running out of their classrooms all just to get some day-old pizza that had mold as the topping. And then you would flush it all down with chocolate milk so thick you could use it as slime. Now the reason everyone would run to lunch like they were trying out for the Olympics was because you wanted to be at the front of the line. This was very important because if you weren't at the front of the line, by the time you were up, they might have already run out of all the good food. Or I guess the not disgusting food, because none of it was actually good. And also, if you didn't get there early, you would have to be waiting in line for half of lunch while the rest of your friends are already sitting down, rizzing up the girls. And by rizzing up the girls, I mean looking at them for a split second and then saying to your buddies, "Bro, she definitely wants me." I remember on my very first day of middle school, the bell rang and immediately kids are sprinting outside of class like the light just went green at an F1 race. They're heading towards the cafeteria trying to be first, and I'm just sitting there at my desk still, wondering why everyone is going so fast. Like we're all going to be getting the same food anyway, right? Well, I arrived to the cafeteria and I'm at the very back of this long line. Now keep in mind, this was my first day at a new school. I didn't know many of the students there, but back at my old school, how it worked was no matter where you were in line, you were getting the same food. Like they never ran out of it. So I'm standing at the end of this super long line and I asked the person in front of me if they knew what the food options were for today. And this kid's response is something I will never forget because he looks me in the eyes, dead serious, and goes, "It's either pasta or the mystery cup." The way he said it obviously made me curious, so I go, "Well, what's the mystery cup?" But he just responds with, "Hopefully you don't have to find out." He turns back toward his group of friends and starts talking to them. So now I'm in line waiting, super curious about what this mystery cup could be. But I should have just stayed curious because finally, when it was my turn to get food, I go up to the lunch lady and without asking what I would like or not like on my plate, instead, she just puts this cup on it. No pasta in sight, just the cup. And at first, I was excited. I love the mystery flavor of Airheads because you don't know what it is, and that's so exciting. So I'm sure I'll like this. But then, I actually looked at the cup. And it was gray. And no, the cup itself wasn't gray. Whatever food or liquid, I don't even know what you would call it, but whatever was inside of that cup was gray. It literally looked like cement. Now, although it did look like something a Fallout character would have to eat just to survive, I still wanted to try it because don't judge a food by its looks, right? Wrong. Always judge a food by its looks. Because when I took that first bite of this mystery cup, you know what it tasted like? I don't even know if this makes sense, but somehow it literally tasted like the color gray. It was a little bit salty, weirdly chunky, and had no positive flavor to it. After that first time trying it, I knew I would never try it again. I remember one time after this, the lunch lady gave me the mystery cup again because they were out of all the other food, and I immediately just threw it away. But a teacher saw me do this, and she went, "Tyler, why are you throwing your food away? You know there's people out there starving, right?" "Mrs. Garcia, I promise you eating that would kill someone quicker than starvation would." So what actually ended up being inside that cup, to this day, I still have no idea. And neither does anyone I ever asked about it. I guess that's why they call it the mystery cup. But you know what the most diabolical part of lunch was? It wasn't the mystery cup. It wasn't the chalky milk. Nah, it was the students who actually liked eating this stuff. Yes, these people actually existed. These criminals were the people I knew I couldn't trust. Because how are you gonna look at something that looks like this on your plate and then just be like, "Oh man, I can't wait to eat this." And okay, fine, I understand. You're starving, so you gotta eat something. that's acceptable. I'm not talking about you guys. I'm talking about the people who would literally go out of their way to get more cafeteria food. There was this one dude at my school who would go to every single table at lunch asking all the students if they were going to drink their chocolate milk. And if they weren't, he would take them. There were days where I saw that man down 7 or 8 chocolate milks like they were water. Where is he now? To be honest, after drinking all that school milk, he may no longer be with us. Oh wait, never mind. I just looked up his name on social media and apparently he works at IKEA now. Good for you, Jack. Okay, wait, I just scrolled a little bit further and it turns out he has diabetes now. I knew that milk was no good. The craziest part about school lunchtime was the fact that there was a specific type of kid in school who lived an entirely different life than the rest of us. And it was the kids whose parents made them lunch every day. Because while we were in the cafeteria actively fighting for our lives with mystery meat and pizza that tasted like cardboard, they'd casually unzip a lunchbox that looked like this, and inside it would be actual real food. Like, from the outside world. Seeing a real piece of food inside school was like when I, as an American, went to Europe for the first time and saw the food there. You just look at the food you have and then think to yourself, wait, not everyone has to suffer like this? And don't get me wrong, I like the food in America, but usually the ingredients list in this food is longer than the girls' bathroom line at school. These students who brought lunch from home never knew the fear of biting into something that was supposed to be soft and hearing a crunch sound. So if your parents made lunch for you when you were in school, go give them a hug right now. Tell them you love them, because you have no idea just how blessed you are. But the one thing, the only possible thing that was better than your parents making food for you was getting fast food during lunch. This was S tier, and I know some people might be like, Tyler, but you were just talking about how unhealthy the food in America is. Yeah, it is. But that doesn't mean I don't love it. Trust me, I've seen the videos. I know what they put in those McDonald's chicken nuggets and the fact that I'd probably lose 1 year off my life every time I eat them. But guess what? That don't stop me. I'm still gonna eat it. So there was nothing, and I mean nothing, better than getting fast food during lunchtime. It was always for a special occasion. Usually, you'd have to get pulled out of school for something like a dentist appointment, go find out you got 4 cavities and a root canal, and on your way back to school, you'd pop the big question. Mom, can we stop at McDonald's? You're just sitting there doing the speed face, waiting for her to either hit you or miraculously say yes. It all depended on her mood that day. And let me tell you, the days where she said yes were glorious. You'd pull into the McDonald's drive-thru, get your food, go back to school, and then all of a sudden, everyone was your friend now. Kids you've never seen before are treating you like royalty all because they want to fry. The kid you've only talked to because he sits next to you in math class is like, Tyler, my guy, you know I've always loved you, right? The guy who bullies you is going, bro, your outfit is fire today. And then your actual friends would just be treating everything you say like a stand-up comedy show. We could all be at lunch, and if I had a 10-count nugget from McDonald's with me, anything I said would suddenly be hilarious. I remember one time, I came back from a doctor's appointment with McDonald's, and as I sat down with my friends to eat, I literally went, what's up? And they all started dying laughing. Right away, I knew. The glazing went too far. They didn't think I was actually being funny. They just wanted those nuggets. And speaking of my mom buying me food, when I was in school, my parents would give me money every morning for lunch because unfortunately, the cafeteria food isn't free. Yes, shocking, I agree. They should be paying us to eat that food, not charging us $3.50. So at first, when she would give me the money every day, I would spend it at school like she told me to. But after a while, I realized I have free will. So I said, hold on a second, why would I spend $4 on pizza that tastes like it's suppressed when I could just save the money and be hungry for an extra few hours? Then I just go home and eat something better there anyway. So every day from this point on, I would just pocket the $4 my mom gave me, and just like that, I was stacking up bread. I was saving up for a PlayStation, calculating it in my head. Okay, if I don't buy lunch for 100 days, that should be enough to afford the PlayStation. I did this for weeks without any issues until one random day, my mom is going through my backpack because she ran out of gum and decided mine was community property. And suddenly, she stops and sees this big wad of cash. She starts counting it, and it's around $50. And then I see her starting to do her thinking face, which is never a good time. And what is she thinking? Well, because I'm jobless, she's wondering, what's the one place this money could have came from? So she looks at me and just goes, Tyler, why do you have this money? And I knew I had to lock in, so I said, well, you see, Mom, I'm somewhat of a businessman, if I may say so myself. You're not spending the money I give you for lunch every day, are you? No, I'm not. From that moment on, my parents lost all trust in me with physical cash. No more money in the morning. Instead, my mom started writing checks directly to the school for my lunch account. And just... PlayStation were officially over. Now we gotta talk about the people responsible for me even making this video. The lunch ladies. I used to view the lunch ladies at my school as Gordon Ramsay. I thought since they were responsible for making the food for hundreds of kids, they must have went to school to be a chef, had a degree in cooking or something like that. But it turns out, after doing a little bit of research, you don't need any credentials to become a lunch lady. All you gotta do is have a pulse. That's it. Well, actually, you don't even need to have that because I had a lunch lady in middle school who died while working one day. Rest in peace to her, by the way. But I remember the day my lunch lady passed away vividly because the ambulance trucks are showing up, everyone's talking about what happened, and a student next to me goes, "Yo, why are there ambulances here?" "Oh, they think one of the lunch ladies passed away." He pauses for a second and then goes, "Dang, well, is it still gonna be pizza day, at least?" In case you were wondering, yes, it was still pizza day. But I do find it odd that his first thought after finding out someone just dropped dead at our school was, what's the lunch gonna be? But this leads me right to the day everyone would always look forward to in school. Because sure, you may have had the mystery cup of gabagool, the green beans in a pool of liquid, and the chicken nuggets so undercooked that they're still saying cock-a-doodle-doo every morning. But this one day was supposed to make up for all of that. What day am I talking about? Pizza day. The promise of pizza day was the only reason you believed the school might not actually hate you. You would daydream about it. The crust, the sauce, the melted cheese. Pizza was the one food they couldn't mess up. Right? Like, it's pizza, the most basic, universally loved food. Usually pizza is one of those foods that, even if it's bad compared to other pizzas, it's still good because it's pizza. Well, not at my school, because I don't even think you could call the brick of ice cold bread with tomatoes they gave us pizza. The first problem was that it was shaped like the letter U instead of triangular. That should be enough to give whoever made this life in prison. The crust was also stiff as a board. I remember one time, a kid tore off the crust of the pizza, then tore off a piece of his lunch tray, and took a bite using the lunch tray as crust. We all looked at him like he was crazy, but it seemed like he enjoyed that bite more than the actual crust. Did this also happen to be the same kid that ate glue in my class? Yes, so I wouldn't trust his word fully. But if you're thinking, Tyler, like you said, sure the pizza wasn't great, but at the end of the day, it's still pizza. Well, no, actually, it wasn't. Because our pizza sauce was really sweet. Like, a little too sweet. To the point where all of us students started to think, this might not even be pizza sauce at all. So we started doing some research, asking teachers, staff, anyone who might know the answer to what this pizza sauce was really made out of. And when we found the answer from a student whose mom was one of the lunch ladies, not the one that died, rest in peace again, but it turns out the pizza sauce was actually ketchup. Yes. They used ketchup in the pizza. Why did they do that instead of just using actual pizza sauce? I don't know. Maybe it was cheaper. Maybe the school was just trying to torture us, but it was ketchup. So if not even the pizza was good, was there any food in the cafeteria that wasn't horrible? Well, at my school, there was two. And one of them was Taco Day. Because I went to school in California, and if there's one food that people in this state know how to make, it's tacos. So at my school, Taco Day was actually kind of delicious. Matter of fact, it was so delicious that it caused a food fight. Because Taco Day was always on Tuesdays. So when you walked into school that day, knowing you still had 4 long, miserable days ahead of you before the weekend came, the one thing that made you feel a little bit better was the fact that we were getting tacos. So on one Tuesday, I'm at school and it's going just like any normal day. Until I get to my physical education class. You may wonder what this has to do with lunch, but just stay with me. You'll understand in a second. So on this day, my PE class had the championship for the basketball tournament we were playing at this time. My squad was already out because I just picked all my homies to be on my team, and we would rather all just be taking shots like this than actually trying to win. But the two teams that were still in it hated each other. And when I say they hated each other, I really just mean that the team captains on each team hated each other. Why? Because the team captain of one team was dating this girl that was also in our PE class. But before they became a couple, guess who this girl used to date? That's right, the other team captain. And the girl was going to be watching this game. So they've had this beef for a while, and you could tell by how they were acting before the start of the game, they were going to treat this 3-on-3 basketball game like the NBA Finals. I'm not even exaggerating. One of them literally brought their LeBron shoes to play in, and the other dude was wearing a headband. So the game starts, and they're going super rough on each other, basically wrestling more than actually playing basketball. And fast forward to the end of the game, the kid who used to date this girl was about to lose. So he was furious, and because of that, when the guy on the other team went for a layup, he shoved him. And the guy went flying and landed on his back. Both the kids are barking at each other like two dogs when there's a fence separating them. And eventually, the school bell rings, signaling that class is over and it's time to go to lunch. So the kid who lost is at the lowest of lows. His team just lost in front of his ex-girlfriend to her new boyfriend's team. It was the ultimate embarrassment. But hey, what's the one thing that can fix all this disappointment? Taco Tuesday. Well, no. Instead, it made everything worse. Because we all get to the cafeteria for lunch. Everything's going normal, and I'm talking with the kid whose team lost because we were friendly with each other and we just got out of the same class, but he is still furious. So fast forward to when it was our time to get tacos, and what happens? The school is out of tacos. So we had to get the backup meal. And what was the backup meal that day? I don't even have to say it. You guys already know what it was. That's right, it was the mystery cup. And the kid whose team lost is furious. As if his day wasn't going bad enough already, this was the event that tipped him over the edge. So instead of eating, or slurping, or drinking this weird cup of cement, he decided there was something better he could do with it. So after he gets his cup, instead of walking over to the area he usually sat in, he goes straight up to the table of his ex-girlfriend and her new boyfriend. He doesn't say a single word, he just taps the new boyfriend on his shoulder, and this is what the new boyfriend sees. Yes, he threw this cup of wet cement straight at this guy, and it gets all over him. Right when this happened, the school goes silent for a second, and everyone's just going, ooh, waiting to see what happens next. And then, the kid, with wet mystery juice all over him, that probably is toxic, let's be real, but he gets up and throws his tacos and his milk right back at this guy. And that was all it took, because now, the dam broke. The war had begun. Just like that, the slop on everyone's tray wasn't prison food anymore. No, it was ammunition. Because the girlfriend then throws her whole tray at her ex-boyfriend. She didn't even pick up the food and throw it. She just yeeted the whole tray. So a bunch of other students from each friend group get involved now, just throwing foods at each other. It was like two rival gangs battling each other out. But instead of using weapons that could hurt you physically, they were using weapons that could hurt you emotionally. Well, that cup of cement probably could kill you, but it was 5 minutes of pure chaos. The floppy damn green beans are now being thrown like fastballs, sticking to people's foreheads, on their backpacks, on the wall. The hot sauce for the tacos is staining people's clothes. The quiet kid who wasn't a part of either friend group just starts running around with his spork in his hand, trying to attack people, and the staff workers are completely useless. They tried blowing their whistles, but you could barely even hear it when compared to the screams of hundreds of kids getting attacked by Gabagool. One of the workers, a man named Mr. Henderson, tried to walk into the middle of the fight, and with his hands up, he's yelling, "Stop this right now, all of you!" But he was immediately attacked by a taco shell with some cheese in it that hit him like a Mike Tyson right hook. He quickly gave up on trying to stop the food fight right there. And I got the mystery cement for my lunch too, and obviously I wasn't gonna eat that, but I also didn't have any beef with someone at my school. I thought about just throwing it at the student who reminded our science teacher about giving us homework the day before, but I decided against it. I remember seeing one dude who was literally in the middle of the crossfire, like there is tacos flying directly over his head, and he's just sitting there, unfazed, continuing to eat his tacos as if nothing's going on around him. I respect how unbothered he was. This insanity only ended when the principal, who was a man so scary that he was like a myth, appeared in the doorway with what looked like every single teacher in the school standing behind him. Because at my school, if you saw the principal live in the flesh, you knew it was serious. We would usually only see the vice principal during assemblies or any other time you would expect to see your actual principal. So my principal low-key had a bunch of aura, I ain't gonna lie. But he opens the doors, blows his whistle that somehow sounded like an Aztec whistle instead of a normal school one, and then he goes, "Enough!" Everyone goes silent. Everyone stops throwing food. Well, except for the one kid who hadn't thrown his milk yet, so he just chucked it like a Hail Mary across the cafeteria. And then, the principal ordered us to all start cleaning up this mess. He said if we didn't finish cleaning up by the time lunch was over, he would have no problem giving every single student detention. I don't know if that's even possible to do, but he would have found a way because like I said, this man's got unlimited aura. So everyone gets up to clean. We're using paper towels, those little napkins they give you with your meal that do absolutely nothing, and we took care of most of it. But when I went home and showered that night, I saw a piece of green bean flush down the drain, which meant it had been on my head the whole time without me knowing. But wait, you thought this video was just all negative about school lunches? No, because what if I told you there was actually one I enjoyed? And not just like the tacos where I could tolerate them, but still didn't look forward to it. No, this was a food that was actually delicious. And you may never have even heard of this food before. That's how rare it was at our school. This meal was like finding a gold scar. So what is this beautiful food I'm talking about? Mac Sticks. If you don't know what Mac Sticks are, they're basically breadsticks filled with cheese. But for some reason, unlike everything else they served at school, this meal felt like it was served with love and not the pure hatred that came with every other meal. Kids would go to war for these Mac Sticks. But this has already been 30 seconds of me glazing a meal they served at school, which feels like 30 seconds too long. So I gotta end the video now before I keep saying nice things about school food. Okay, bye now.
In Grad Mobile, you can become anyone you want. For example, an underground racer